This video is made possible thanks to 3D Makerpro and their Mole 3D scanner. The Mole 3D scanner from 3D Makerpro has very high precision of 0.05 for the accuracy and also 0.1 for the resolution. It scans objects from 15 to 1500 millimeters and also has a professional software system included free of charge with the scanner. The NIR light source not only protects your eyes, but it also has a very excellent light compatibility. If you are familiar with 3D scanning, then usually when an object is scanned, there are a lot of markers or small stickers applied to the subject or object that is being scanned. However, with the Mole, that is no longer necessary as it's featuring AI visual tracking. The Mole also identifies your target objects and completely does it without a single marker. You also have multiple options for scanning. You can use the turntable, but you can also do it handheld or a combination of both by using the turntable and also having it handheld, and therefore being capable of capturing multiple angles of that model without losing the tracking. Now for me personally, I simply just like to use the tripod that is included, have a stable base, and then to use the turntable, get a 360 round view of the model and a good quality scan that way. So after giving it a go myself on a couple of different objects and models, the scanning itself was really easy. The software was super easy to use as well. I myself am quite the novice as far as it goes with 3D modeling software, etc. So this was a real breeze to go through. Simply just following the startup procedure was good enough for me to get a couple really good high quality scans. However, at this point, the usability of this scanner pretty much stopped for me. Like I said, I do not really have any skills whatsoever as far as 3D modeling goes on the computer, and therefore this scanner isn't really something I find super useful. However, I do have a couple of friends who are pretty capable with 3D modeling software, and therefore I invited my friend Olivizzle to help out on this project and do a little bit of a collaboration. I sent him the scanner and he got to work doing some small projects first to see what the scanner was capable of and how easy it was to use for him. Once that was completed, we agreed on a subject to go for, and that is a 69 Mustang from Ravel. So same procedure, he first scanned the body before he could move on to adding all of the parts on top of it that he wanted to. Now there are a couple of different models we had in mind, one really simple, and that of course is the John Wick version that was used in the movie, and I'm pretty sure that is simply a Mach 1 and has a couple of small modifications on the exterior aside from the paintwork and stuff like that that were needed for the kit. So with the scan of the body now completed, he could move on to modeling some parts in his 3D software to make it the specific movie version. First of all, the two side vents that were modeled, and then using the scan were shaped and also fitted in place to get the correct dimensions and also to improve the shape even more, following all of the contours and lines on the 3D scan. Now for this version of the Mustang, he did not only do the two side vents, he also did a hood scoop as well that will be shown a bit later on. And once the files were completed, I could slice them in the voxel dance slicer, send them over to my Nova 3D Whale3 SE. This is a super high quality resin printer, prints relatively fast and has a really high accuracy and also a super sharp resolution. The parts came out perfectly, but they did need a little bit of cleanup, of course, with the resin, some curing, and removing all of the supports. As you can see, there are a couple more parts on here as I simply had more than enough space on the build plate itself to fill it up fully with the second project that is going to be featured in the second half of this video as well, just to save a bit of time and not have to run the printer twice. So the parts have come off of the printer, they were cleaned up in some alcohol, and now I can remove all of the supports before curing them. This piece that you're seeing me remove all of the supports off of is simply just a template to put onto the body in order to help place the vent, but that will be shown a bit later. So after curing, I could move on to test fitting the parts onto the body itself and seeing that it fits pretty much perfectly thanks to all of the scans that were used for all of the shaping, sizing, etc. It has a super small gap, but that is really easily removed and nothing major to talk about, as right off the printer using the scans first time round, this fit pretty much this way and just needs a 1 to 2% adjustment to get a perfect fitment. Same goes for the piece on the side. To align the vent, you just simply put it in place and then mark it off, drill some holes, use a bit of cutters and files to get it all into shape, and then the vent fits in there. So if you know your way around 3D modeling software, this is absolutely something you would need in your toolbox, specifically if you want to create body kits and save a lot of time on testing prints to fit them, correct them, reprinting them, etc. And by using the scan, you don't have to reprint it, test fit it, and do that several more times. This is just done once off of the original scan, and then the first prints, if you're happy with the files, they fit up perfectly and there was no need for reprints. With the first two projects now completed that were a little bit on the simpler side, first off just using the scans to fit some parts to it to see the fitment for the wheels and the exhausts and get the scaling correct there. Then of course getting the custom body kit created for the Mach 1 or John Wick version, which is also a really cool add-on straight out of the box and a really good use for the scanner and printer. We could then move on to something a bit more extreme, and for that we're going to turn to B is for build. So I've been following Chris for years on YouTube, and his builds have gotten pretty extreme, and one of the latest ones that was shown at the SEMA show was the Mustang. Now, it wasn't really a Mustang, but if you know, you know, and if you don't, then go watch his videos on the entire build, as it's a pretty interesting process. Nonetheless, the designer of that body kit made a super cool addition to the Mustang, completely changing it but still keeping it into a classic Mustang styling. Now we're simply just copying that body kit or the style of that body kit to fit onto the Mustang kit from Revell, and to see how good this scanner actually is on bigger parts too. The smaller ones that you've seen before fit really well, and there's not really a big change on the bigger parts, as they fit perfectly too. Thanks to using the scans, all of the dimensions are correct first go, and all of the contours are really well done too. Now it's not a 100% perfect fit, but that of course has to do with some modeling software changing some dimensions here and there, and the same goes for the printers and the parts, etc. But overall, again, like I said before, it is a 95–96% fitment, and that is really good straight out of the printer, first go. Now the front fender is done in two halves. You just simply need to join the left and the right side, add some filler, and depending if you want to go for a smooth white body, add some more filler to all the edges. And if you just want to pop it on and not have it filled, it already has a pretty nice and clean edge straight out of the box, so to speak. Now of course we don't just have the ones for the front, we have the rear over fenders as well, and same as the front, they fit on perfectly. This rear one just hangs on the fenders themselves and it's stuck in place pretty much. All of the contours on the side fit perfectly from the front on the door, and also the same on that rear half on the underside. Everything just aligns, and that is kind of a good thing. So you can see that the scanning process did its job really well, creating a really nice base to model off of, and also speaking to the printer, giving a really accurate part of the designs that were made in the computer and getting them printed pretty much exactly to the shape you need them to be, and also getting the sizing spot on with a really high quality. It does really high quality on the supports, as they are super nice and thin but yet really strong, and the same goes for the resin on the main parts themselves, which is the same as on the supports. But those parts are incredibly strong, really bendable, and don't really break or snap that easily, and they do sand really nicely, and also with a bit of glue stay in place permanently. I really enjoyed this little dive into 3D scanning and creating body kits, and I kind of want to do more of this in the future. I want to thank 3D Makerpro and also nFOUW for providing me with the materials needed for this video. I will be leaving links in the description down below to all of them, and also Olivizzle for helping me out with the 3D modeling side. If you're interested in these body kits, do let me know, and maybe they will come up for sale, and if no one's interested, then they might not, probably. And again, there will be some more discount codes, etc. to nFOUW and 3D Makerpro in the description down below. If you want to see more projects like this or want to know more about something specific that I've talked about in this video and want to see more videos about that subject, do leave a comment down below and I'll try my best to help out. And if it's really good for content, maybe I'll create a video about it using the scanners more and of course also the printers.